Are you playing Smash, Odyssey, or Breath of the Wild?
Just playing the new Power Ranger game. Battle for the Grid.
Are you having fun?
There. I completed everything.
It's not very good, is it?
It's not that. The basics of a good game are there, it's just that everything from the game's initial release to the most recent update is just baffling.
Well, I guess we know what we're talking about today. Is it time for a transformation sequence?
Yeah, I guess. Contrast! Buckler! Battle for the Grid was released in April earlier this year. There was a lot of hype for the game since the last console Power Rangers game was Mega Battle, which had mixed reviews at best.
The best part was where we shouted the button presses during the Megazord fights to make sure our timing was correct. A, B, A.
Yeah, that was something. In 2017, in order to coincide and promote the film's release, Enway released a mobile game called Legacy Wars. It's a fighting game that uses rock, paper, scissors mechanics. It's a fun enough game, but the only way to progress is through online matches, which I'm just not that into. I also have a huge problem with the way the multiple currencies and loot boxes are handled. The main redeeming quality of Legacy Wars is that it has a large roster of characters spanning multiple seasons of the franchise, with new characters still being added in even now. And so, when it was announced that Enway was going to release a console game, I was cautiously optimistic. On one hand, I was afraid that predatory practices like loot boxes would make their way into the game, but on the other hand, I was looking forward to a console game that would have a huge expanse of characters.
So how many characters are there?
Currently, 12.
What kind of bullshit is that? Mortal Kombat 11 has 21 characters, not including DLC, and even Street Fighter 4 had 25 characters. Power Rangers has a quarter of a century worth of heroes and villains, and even after an update, there's only 12 playable characters? Well, I hope they at least filled it out with iconic and interesting. I don't know who half of these characters are. Look, I'm more into Sentai, and the only Power Rangers I really paid attention to were the originals, and why is Trini in powered armor?
It's from the comics.
Why didn't they just have Trini? Who asked for robot armor, Trini? Well, at least they have Billy from the 2017 movie. He was my favorite character from the entire...
That's actually the Cenozoic Blue Ranger, part of Zordon's original team.
Who the hell is this game even for? It can't be for the fans of the original series when there's only 2 MMPR Rangers.
MMPR Pink is a skin.
Only 2 MMPR Rangers. And why does Zack look that way?
It's also from the comics.
Do the makers of this game think that all the fans are following the comics? Where's Zack? I want to play fucking Zack because he's awesome, not some random mook nobody cares about.
At least they pulled characters from multiple seasons of the show.
How many?
Well, if you don't count Cenozoic Blue or the comic characters as extensions of MMPR, then 7.
26 years of the show's history, and they only represented 7 series? I hate to repeat myself so much, but I have to ask again, who is this game for?
Well, first I have to explain the politics of the Power Rangers fandom. Wait, no, come on, damn it!
What was that?
Just a piece of my soul. It dies a little bit every time I utter the phrase, politics of the Power Rangers fandom. Wait, no! Damn it! Power Ranger fans can be split into 2 main groups. Fans who remember loving the original MMPR run as kids, and maybe some of Zero Through in Space, and hardcore fans who never stopped watching it. I'm in kind of a weird nexus where I only started becoming interested in seasons of the show from the post-Zordon era onwards because I watched Gokaiger, which made me more interested in Sentai, which led to me watching more Power Rangers to see how those seasons of Sentai were adapted. There's a bit of resentment from a group of the hardcore fans that hate all the attention that MMPR gets, while other seasons of the show they feel are superior are neglected.
They're not entirely wrong. Seasons like Time Force, RPM, and SPD have much better characters and storylines.
Yes, but still, MMPR is the series that made the franchise the worldwide pop culture touchstone that it is. It's kind of like hating Lord of the Rings because fantasy writers of the future like Terry Pratchett have a lot of his strengths and none of his weaknesses. It's just not really fair.
I can understand that, but how is the character roster in Battle for the Grid supposed to appeal to them? Like, who is that representing SPD?
Oh, that's Kat. She was the tech genius of the group. She's a great character.
I'm sensing a butt coming.
But she was only a ranger for one episode.
So they're representing an entire season of the show with a ranger form that appeared in one episode. Also, while I appreciate that the makers of the game are trying to avoid dominating their roster with MMPR, I can't help but notice that most of these are alternate variants of MMPR characters from the comics. And so if you don't read the comics, there's no reason to care for about half of the playable fighters.
Even if you do read the comics, there's not much reason to care about them. Mastodon Sentry was a cool idea in the comics, but I'd rather just play Zack or Adam. In trying to avoid to pander too much to the MMPR audience, they may have made it difficult even for the hardcore fans to be engaged with the game.
Is the game at least fun to play?
The mechanics are simple enough. There are no special move inputs like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. Instead, the special moves work more like Smash Brothers, where you press the special button and a direction. You do attack combos by switching between light, medium, and heavy attacks. If you start with a light attack, you can chain into medium and heavy attacks, but if you start with a heavy, you only get a max of 3 hits. Simple enough for children to understand, but complex enough for an adult to have a good time.
I'm sensing another butt coming.
But there's just not much to do. When Battle for the Grid was released, the only available game modes were Ranked, where you fight online for rankings, Casual, where you fight players online but with nothing at stake, Arcade, Versus, and Training.
You don't really like competing in online matches. Sounds like you got kind of screwed.
Yeah, after I beat everyone's arcade mode, I didn't play the game for weeks until the new characters and story mode were added.
I'm sorry, did you just say story mode was added on later? As in DLC?
Yes.
So let me get this straight. Less than a month after the game's release, they added in 3 new characters and a story mode. Did they just sell an incomplete game?
Unfortunately, that's what it looks like. Everything about this game's release is just baffling to me. The initial price is only around $20, but if you want everything, you have to pay extra for a season pass. This includes the Dragon Armor skin for the Red Ranger, the MMPR Pink Ranger skin for the Ranger Slayer, and Lord Dracon's alternate skin.
That all sounds like stuff that should be unlockable by playing the game.
I wish I had unlocked them from playing the game. I didn't get anything for completing anyone's arcade playthrough, which just felt really hollow.
With free DLC coming out less than a month after the initial release, one has to ask, why didn't they just delay the game for a month?
That's just what gaming culture is now, and it sucks that Power Rangers got caught up in that. I love DLC. Shantae, Half Genie Hero, and Shovel Knight are great examples about how DLC can be used to extend a game's life without having to produce a rushed, uninspired sequel. But Battle for the Grid is just another in a long line of examples of DLC being used as an excuse to release an unfinished game. And that really sucks! I was really looking forward to a new console PR game, and I know a lot of other people were too, but as it is right now, I can't recommend anyone buy the game. Instead, I recommend waiting until the game has been re-released in some sort of definitive edition with all the DLC packed in. What is that?
What, this?
Is that the movie game for the Genesis? Did they release that on PC?
No. This is a fan-made game called Beats of Power. Beats of Power is a free-to-download fan game done in the style of the old 2D beat-em-ups. It's set during the MMPR era, and you can play as anyone from the original team, including both the Green and White Rangers. You start off a level in your civilian form, and then halfway through you morph, which gives you more attacks and boosts your damage.
There are Megazord fights in this game? There are Megazord fights. They aren't QuickTime events. I never thought I'd see that again. I don't even know how to...
The only downside is that it's short. And because it's a fan game, there's no unlockable content.
I'm sensing a but.
I didn't pay anything for this game, and I got exactly what I wanted. Unlike you.
I can't argue with that. If you're interested in trying out Beats of Power, you can download it for free from the link in the description below.
It has multiplayer!
If you like the game, you might want to consider supporting the Patreon of the game's creator, MersoX. Link for that also in the description below. That's all for now. Till next time, may the power protect you. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, or subscribe. If there's any content you would like to see on this channel in the future, feel free to leave a suggestion in the comments below.